morning, Bitcoiners, wherever you may be. I've got Killer B with me, and let me tell you, he is mad as hell, and he is not going to take it anymore. Like me, no.
I'm
But
sick of it
seriously,
all.
folks, I personally, I find his demeanor to be very measured, considerate, and smart. I've enjoyed learning what he shares both on X and on YouTube. He'll be on X Spaces, and he'll go live with the Hive on the Bitcoin Nova group. He's been a member of the Bitcoin Army for over a year, and he hosts an X Space on Wednesday nights called Crime Watch, discussing the bad actors, bad incentives out there, how to be more aware and protect yourself, and stay frosty, folks. So he's also a father, a writer, a musician with a background in the arts and film, wide variety of life experiences. So it's exciting to have him on to talk to me today. Thank you for joining me, Killer B.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I don't do this super often. Well, I do the Hive thing live with the Hive, but that's
Yeah.
that's like a group friend kind of thing. That makes it so easy. But
Isn't it easier when there's like a handful to kind of spread the genius of it all, and you can listen and dip your toes in and out, but you're not on like it's your
it's
show.
it's perfectly tailored to my personality because
Yeah,
I can pop in, say a line or two. Hopefully it's funny. That's usually meant to be. And then I just shut the hell up for like the next 20, 30 minutes and just let it ride. You know what I mean? And there's less pressure that way.
totally.
Yeah, like
It's a
sometimes
nice dynamic to have. It's a good
yeah.
it's a nice format for that kind of discussion. And like, you'll have during the week, you might have your more specific directed topic or agenda or whatever. It is nice to be able to kind of long form it with others, and it can meander and be funny and silly and also for fun, like once a week. It's a social time, and people need different flavors of content, and I like that as well. So when I can tune in, I do that. Stacy and Jeeves are both they've been listening here just now. Perfectly tailored to your personality, Killer Bees. What Stacy says.
Yeah,
I'll notice you'll
Stacey,
often be sitting there with your avatar quietly for long periods of time, and it's like, Killer Bee, what do you think? So anyway,
yeah, and then my brain will match the avatar, and it's just this open mouth, flooded with anger.
I was joking offline before we got on here. I'm a very nice, patient, considerate, conscientious person. Quite sentimental, actually, and and then I'll hear if I stop and kind of like tune into the news a little bit, or I'm just kind of wondering what's the mainstream piping these days. I'm like calm like a bomb. I'll be like, and
Oh
I
yeah,
gotta stop. I gotta step away or get back to my family or Bitcoin world or sanity. Like, okay, my reality, honestly, is still the same and is fine. I'm investing in the future. I'm becoming more sovereign slowly and steadily. I'm stacking humbly. And then occasionally I lose it all in a boating accident. But I'm feeling good about where I'm at with that. Um, I have friends and family that kind of catch every more recent headline and get caught up in toxicity, but I can feel it. It's like I totally get it. These criminals should all go to jail, right? So,
yeah. It's enough to drive you mad, and I mean, and it's by design, right? It's meant to make you feel your feels. So, what is it? What is the old Broderick movie, War Games, right? With the
yeah,
the machines. Like, this is a strange game. The only winning move is not to play, and
all right.
and there's been a lot of talk, especially in light of a lot of the crazy stuff, a lot of the stuff that's been unearthed, um, about how do we? I mean, what is the average pleb? I mean, and I don't mean in sense of like person holding Bitcoin. I mean, what's the average dude just walking around the street supposed to do with all of this information?
Yeah, there's
You know,
nothing to do,
right?
right?
So, and for me, it's like it all comes back to where, like, one thing I'll tell you, I'm pretty sure I've said this elsewhere. The one thing I definitely feel is a lot of validation, for how protective I've been as a parent.
Oh,
Because
yes.
like in my sort of areas, and just the commonplace kind of talk, you'll hear stuff like, oh, well, we didn't used to kids used to run around, and we didn't have to worry about them getting scooped up and trafficked and all these other things. And like, yeah. So, newsflash, we don't live in 1980. You know what I mean? Like I have,
Yeah.
but I mean, there have been times where where creepy dudes are fucking looking in my direction when I was a kid.
Right.
When you're young, you can almost feel it, right? I mean, if you're paying
I
attention.
feel a mix about that where so I've worked in criminal justice for quarter of a century now and seen various things. And at one level, oh my gosh, well, things changed after COVID and there have been ruptures and changes societally just in the last 5 years in a way that are fun. But well before that, there's a sort of a mix where back in the good old days, I have that memory of freedom and um, adulting, maybe, and or the glory of the 80s and the 90s growing up. If you did in that era, it was just like prime to be an American as a kid. And I have memories of how that was. And then, in one sense, with technology and modern era, we have more access to information. We're all more highly legible as individuals. Our data is farmed, and we're also the news cycle, the constant stream, all the information age stuff. It's like a lot of certain crime stats have gone down. Not to say property crime and dumpster fires, but generally, a lot of big numbers that FBI tracks about murders and violence have gone down. Um, and sort of until about 5 years ago, it's kind of flattened or gone up a little bit, but things have steadily gotten better over decades. The perception is that everything has gotten much worse, but I think it's because back in the day, like a kid was on the milk carton jug and it was like kind of random and you didn't know stuff or you only heard stuff locally. And now, not that shit didn't happen. There were creepers and vans and who knows what doing stuff. You didn't even know what the CIA was doing,
Right.
And now we kind of can see it more. And so it's just into our awareness. And so maybe we just feel like shit's all worse. And really, if you zoom out or just kind of zoom in and look at your life, it's like, things aren't that bad actually, but stay
Right.
frosty.
Right. I mean, it's all perspective. I mean, if you look, I mean, it was, growing up in the 1980s. I mean, it was great. I mean, it was
James makes that point.
yeah,
It was
90s.
like a transitional generation. We had a blend of old and new. I remember when computers came of age, the internet came of age. It was all new. I grew up with seeing it occur. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great time, like from what I remember, right? But you're talking from the perspective of a kid who doesn't. I mean, I'm not reading newspapers at 8 years old. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I remember a family member asking me, who I would vote for, and I didn't even know who the fuck was running. I wasn't because it was bikes and Thundercats and running around outside.
Oh God, the good memories. I love that.
Yeah, and swinging off of shit and jumping off of things. Like, no, who's running the country? Like, you know what I mean? You don't. I didn't grow up. They even had sitcoms like that. Like Michael J. Fox was the young conservative kid in Family Ties. You know what I mean? He was so just cared about all of those things, and like that's just not who I was. That's not who anybody around me was. So we like the world was going. All of the atrocities were going on unbeknownst.
It was going on.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. It's like these. I mean, and not to say because like you're working in the field that you do, like these things do have importance because they're reference material. There's they're almost a gauging system, and they're a political tool. So they do have a certain level of importance, but ultimately they're always going to be inaccurate. You know what I'm saying? And that's really the point. Like, and that's kind of the point of Crime Watch is like what constitutes an actual crime. We've got laws and we've got rules and we've got all these things, but we don't have a whole lot of people following them except for folks that have to. And I mean, and
Right.
what does that entail? I mean, you have to because, you know, I don't respect the police officer in a sense other than their service. Um, you know what I mean? But like, I'm not going to listen to an officer for any other reason than they can shoot me if I don't listen to them. You know,
They gotta earn their respect, right?
yeah, it's just a brass tacks fucking thing. Like, okay, I like, I mean, I could carry a gun, and I, you know, you have freedoms in the physical world to the point of like you can do a thing, but you know what I mean. But you like Thompson, like Hunter Thompson said, you buy the ticket, you take the fucking ride. Like you don't get to, you know. And there are people who, you know, do have that luxury, but you know,
Yeah.
like, the folks I'm talking to are not them. You know, I'm not having conversations with those guys. You know what I mean? So I'm like, you know, it's just, you know, I'm talking to who I'm talking to, right?
Yeah.
But
And you know, freedom isn't given, it's taken and kept and maintained, I think, you
yeah,
know. I mean, yeah. Anyway, uh so Jeeves, yeah, well, just as I said it, freedoms are given these days. I'd be remiss if, with everything swirling on and all the things going on, there's reasons to feel angst and orneriness about it and having to manage different worlds in your life. I'd be remiss, Jeeves, if I didn't, you know, having a sense, and I think you do. I've when I listen to you, Killer B, there's a sense of a kind of perspective, Zen, you might call it, where like there's clowns on the left and jokers on the right. So just kind of being
yeah,
centered, kind of a calm eye in the cyclone. Things will swirl, and even as there's things out there you look at, and you can be the angry Buddha about it. Like, God damn it, you know, when it's time to fight, you fight. But also knowing yourself and remaining strong on a foundation. Uh, you feel that?
yeah. I mean, you know, it's no, you know, it's no magic trick. Only fighting the battles that you can win. Um, and I don't disagree with that perspective, right? You know, I mean, it's you know, obviously you should play the games you're good at. Obviously, you should really, you know, if you're gambling with a lot, you really don't want to be playing a game where you could lose it all. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me.
Mhm.
But there is that sense of risk of like, you really only have, you know, one existence, you know, according to, according to what we, not, you know, not according to what you read or what, you know, might actually be true, but I mean, according to just what you can see in front of you, like, this is it. So what, you know, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Are you going to not take any chances? I mean, is that, you know, are you going to, you know, play the shipbuilder who never takes the ship out to sea? You know what I mean? It's like, that's not what ships are built for. And all, you know, all
Right.
those fun um, little, you know, sayings. Right. And like, I don't, you know, I don't really, you know, the one thing that I can't stand, honestly, and when I get angry, it's usually some stuff like this, is when other people are telling other people what the fuck they should do. Like, it's
Uh,
anybody's fucking business.
uh-huh.
You know, you should this, you should that, don't do
Uh-huh.
this, you know, or whatever. And it's like, I, I mean, I don't know. Like, it sort of depends on where it's coming from. And I think
Yeah.
that's really the nuance. Like, if it's somebody who's like actually concerned about your well-being, you know, I mean, my advice, for what it's worth, is take it kindly.
Uh-huh.
But if somebody's trying to tell you like you're living wrong or something, and like you can just sort of feel that judgmental like nonsense, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're well within your rights to put that person in their place and be like, look, dude, fuck off. You know, go mind your own fucking neck, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. The whole concept of, well, you talk about, what is it? The fourth turning, the turnings and the fourth turning. And maybe I should bring it to screen here, but there's basically, it's a graph based on uh, the need and the provision of control. So a lot of things, like when I talk with you, talk about people giving advice and saying, you know, you should do that, or I was I'm just trying to have kind of a, maybe a normal conversation with my dad about um, not being stuck in a job that basically wore him out and shortened his life, and but he retired from and was responsible about. And I'm like, Dad, sometimes I think maybe you know, I'm talking about sovereignty generally, Bitcoin generally, that maybe I don't want to be stuck and I want to have some courage and break free a little bit or do something different or whatever. And anyway, you get advice from your parents. It's like, stick with your job, get that pension. They're going to give you $1,000 a month when you're about dead. Or my mom, on the other hand, is a little more, she'll be, as a mom is, worried or anxious and has her own advice about, stay safe. And part of me is like, you know what? I kind of want to stay a little dangerous. I think that's what we need to do. Stay dangerous, people. Live your life. Get engaged. Grab that steering wheel. Drive. Find your personal agency.
Yeah, I like that. On the parent thing, right? You have, and again, this is one of those things where like that, the dichotomy exists within parents, because you got folks that raise you, but they're different people, right? And typically I think, this could be me off the mark here, right? But like when I think of like, because I'm kind of both parents to my kid. That's just how the cards fell. But when I think of from like a male perspective, like, a father wants their kid to be safe at all times, no matter what. Anytime, you need a meal, you have a meal, you have a meal ready, you know what I mean? You know where your next meal is coming from. Like that's what a father wants for their kid. Whereas a mother wants them to be happy. Now the thing, they want both of those things, but one, you know what I mean? One for each individual, one is primary and the other is secondary. Obviously, your mother wants you to be safe and wants you to eat and you know what I mean, and be well fed and all that stuff, right? But they also want you to enjoy your life, not, be miserable all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas a father is like miserable as part of the fucking. It's in the code.
Toughen the fuck up, buddy.
I don't know what to tell you. It's not even. It's not even toughen the fuck up. It's just, because those are perspectives. Like, oh, I had to do it, so you do, or whatever. Everybody gotta, or whatever. But it's like, it's more than knowing that whatever's fair or whatever's not don't fucking matter. Like you have to do it. Like, you know what I mean? If you want to fucking eat, you gotta work. You want to have a place to live, you want to have, a roof over your head, you gotta earn it, fucking get it, maintain it. You take care of these things. You don't let the garden hose kink up. Don't fucking, you know what I mean? Like, the couple of degrees you set the fucking thermometer down, it affects you. Come the end of the month, you gotta fucking account for that. So you know what I'm saying? Like, these are things.
Adulting's hard.
Right. Yeah,
like Frank Sinatra sings, that's life. Makes me think, well, one thing from the 90s, maybe this was the beginning hint of something changing in young people as I was getting older. But Alanis Morissette had a song, Isn't It Ironic? And when I stopped and looked at the lyrics of what it was saying, it was like basically shit that happens in life, none of which was ironic. But it was just like, oh, this shit happened and this shit happened and just shit happened. But isn't it ironic? So the idea to say if it's ironic, it means you have this expectation that shit doesn't happen to me. So it's ironic if shit happens to me. Anyway, random aside, but
yeah. Well, I mean,
people
like,
kind of got to adult sometimes.
Yeah, it's the 90s were a weird time. I think 90s were a self-discovery time. We I think collectively we all kind of figured out, like, maybe we don't want to wear these weird colors, and maybe we want to tone it down a little bit, maybe flannel it up, maybe get a little loose, maybe get a little loose in the fucking waist, because Jesus, dude, like, these tight pants, what the fuck? But now we're going, like, it's like we're going backwards. Like, somebody decided, wait a minute, let's go back to all the restrictive clothing and not feeling comfortable in our own. I don't know. That's just
me. 80s and 90s were riding the probably the thickest froth of fiat nicely, and now that's running out of steam. I think of my parents. We were talking about control, so I have to check myself as a parent, because I think, oh my gosh, I'm being just like my dad. Couple of things. One, in the work that I do, some kids with problems, it's very stereotypically, I hate to say it, but it's an absent father and a mother who is quite loving, but hovering overly helicoptery involved. and
Yeah, yeah.
and again,
So
I have these
this is
full grown, these 50-year-old kids that
mm,
grandma, mommy is still sorting out their supervision. And but very typically it's an absent dad or a criminal dad or an abusive dad. But man, the dad figure, as you might relate to, the dad figure is key in a kid having some grounding. Not to put down moms, but
well,
you can have a single dad and the kid's all right. You can have a single mom and it's a roll of the dice. I've seen.
it's well, I think it's a roll of the dice one way or the other, right? Like, I mean,
Mhm.
there's just in my own timeline, right? There were times where it was difficult, right? And it's just the way I see it, right? And I used to go to like groups and talk with like other parents, and a lot of them were single mothers and stuff like that. And like,
Mhm.
it's weird being that an anomaly, right? Showing up to those things because it's like you're almost like a mirror reflection, but on the you know what I mean, but the reflection is different. Like, it's instead of a female, it's a male raising kids. So it's kind of awkward
Mhm.
in that one sense, but there's a certain level of respect, I think, especially when you have certain groups like that where parents get together. Um, and I think it kind of it casts a larger shadow than like any sort of stigma or anything weird about, you know what I mean, because you sort of accept where you're at, and you accept, you understand how difficult it is, and you're just happy to know that you're not by yourself in those
Right.
weird random thoughts in your head in the middle of the night where you're like, oh my god.
Mm.
you know
Yeah, it's easy to be self-critical or as a parent. I mean, you like, oh, you think you want to do things right and you're not perfect, or you're just damn tired, whatever. So,
oh yeah, I mean, these are big factors. But and it's funny you bring that up, like, because in your profession, I think there are some parallels to some uh I guess jobs that I've had, right? I mean, I wouldn't call them
mm,
professions or whatever, but I did for a couple years. I was working with adolescents who were in like an inpatient rehab, and it was a very difficult time. Like, there's uh, a lot of stories, you know what I mean? A lot of people going through a lot of things, a lot of kids going through a lot of things. These are
hmm
haven't fully developed yet, and they're stunting their potential with coping mechanisms. And
yeah,
and you got all walks of life leading up to how that happened. From down to like severe tragedy to nothing in particular going on but boredom.
hmm
So you know what I mean. And it's a very interesting, um, a very depressing field, to be honest. So I didn't
yeah,
I didn't stay too long in that. That wasn't going to be a profession for me. You know what I mean? That was more of a
yeah. I've had those jobs where it's like I cannot do this. Like, I'm not going to quit a job till I have a job just to be responsible to family things. But like, I got to figure this out. I can't do this.
yeah, like that's when it's like, okay, I tried something. I wanted to see if this was who I am, and I know now that it's not. So you line something else up, and you move on. Um,
Yeah.
right.
And don't worry about your background noise. I don't think it's too distracting or anything, but it sounds like you're mining. I got
Uh,
miners going as well.
you're spot on, dude.
Jeeves
Yeah,
pointed that out too.
yeah. There is sadly nothing I can do about that yet until well, there are things that I'm working on, right? I don't like to disclose too much, but I mean, eventually, I'm planning on moving a lot of these solo miners out
Oh,
of this area. It's just this is where they have to be right now.
yeah, cool. Mine are pretty quiet actually, or it's my microphone, but we were talking about the four turnings and control, and this is where the demand and the supply of order, I guess it is order, where you think of like the silent generation, the greatest generation, maybe my and your grandparents, World War II and all that, where there was just a hierarchical in World War II, high control and high just expectation of control, and the supply of that control has a wavelength that's much longer than the demand of cyclical amounts of control. So they maintained a longer hierarchy of control that sort of waned here after lots of unrest and protests, where the boomers were like, we're done. We're protesting. We're done with this, uh, tune in and drop out. And so now, and you follow this out, like we were kind of in this great period of the 80s and the 90s where, I don't know, not that hijinks and bullshit weren't going on, but there was a sense of freedom and we were riding the high life, and we weren't expecting a lot of it either because we were happy and just feeling it. And so now what we're seeing, law and justice and order side of things, or basically how many people are getting arrested for what anymore? All the way up, how many people have been arrested for Epstein, whatever. And so people are just feeling this sense of like, it's fraud, waste, and abuse all the way down. So, and then we see, businesses struggling in urban areas or dumpster fires. And we're like, what is going on? So the expectation for control now is getting really high, almost like no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, you're like, somebody got to do something. We got to clamp down on whatever.
Yeah.
And yet the supply is very low. And that's where the fourth turning break happens, is right here. We're like, everything breaks. So,
I mean, I'm of the mind of like, fucking let's go, if
it's inevitable, I'm ready.
Yeah, right. Like if this is the apocalypse, it's fucking taking a while, huh? Like we're like, what the fuck, dude? Like,
yeah, right.
And it's more so like the exhaustion, like the mental exhaustion, right? Like it's like if I have to see one more fucking it's not even doom scrolling anymore. Like it's beyond that. It's like everything that you can think of is some kind of code for some other thing. Like I can't reference a movie without like running into like 3 conspiracy things, and it's chaos, right? And there's a part of me that finds it humorous. Not so much, I mean, obviously not the tragedy point, right? But the just how hungry these minds are to dig in now. We're all looking through all of this old footage and everybody's regurgitating all of this old stuff and looking for the devil. And it's like, I hate to break it to you, but something happens when you keep looking for the guy. You're going to find him. And whether that's, whatever that looks like, even if it's just like you driving yourself into the halls of madness, just like burrowing through these rabbit holes, coming out the other side, just afflicted.
Yeah.
There's a lot to watch out for. So, when it comes to stuff like that, I mean, it's very, it seems silly, right? But I go back to the Fred Rogers story where he's talking about his mom and he was like a kid and he's like, she's telling him, look for the, when you see tragedy, when you see buildings collapsing and fires and all this crazy stuff
going on, look for the helpers.
Look for the help. Look for the people trying to do good.
Yeah.
And not the ones standing in front of a podium talking about all the great shit that they're gonna do. I'm talking about like, you got the firefighters, the nurses, the police, even, you know what I mean? Like there are times where, and I might get shit for this, right? Like, cause I'm of the mind of like, anti-authority, but there are times where people who have like regular human beings who have gone through like the whole process of becoming a police officer, and they serve in a precinct, and they walk around the streets. That guy's not tied to the fucking Illuminati, dude. That's just a fucking job. Right? Now, is he a part of a system that's real fucking corrupt and this and that and the third? Yeah. Okay. But
Yeah.
there's also some guys who like don't, participate as much. And like sometimes they actually do want to do something right in the world.
Yeah.
And are we supposed to string him up too? Or you know what I mean? Like what the like how
Yeah.
evil do we have to be for good to prevail? Like that, like this question is just absurd to me. You know what I mean? Um,
Totally.
so like that's just a guy, right? And he's
Yeah.
like when 9/11 happened, like there were people all over in all different kinds of uniforms just trying to make sense of shit.
Mm-hmm.
There was for the brief moment of time where we were trying to contain chaos, nobody was, there was no fucking, oh, you're the devil, you're the bad guy, you're worse than Hitler, you're part of the regime, you're
Right.
scum, you're this, you're that. There was, you know what I mean? So it's like it's very, I don't know, like it's very strange how we treat each other as humans overall. And it's
Yeah.
riddled with irony, it's riddled with contradiction, it's riddled with oxymoron, it's riddled with stupidity.
Yeah.
And it's enough to drive you fucking insane and make you mad as hell. So
Yeah. George says hi. He popped in to say
what's
hi.
up, George?
Yeah. Welcome.
I'm grateful that for all of the folks who come in and hang out with me. Some people do this shit to themselves like all the time. Like when I'm done here, I'm gonna go talk to somebody else, and they just keep putting themselves through this shit. It's amazing.
Yeah. Cool. I'll point out the live with the hive that you're on. Tell me, now what you were bringing up, I agree with. I totally relate to. I had a lot of thoughts, and I wanted to temper my feelings of talking about myself too much. So I'm going to divert briefly. We can get back to it. But I want to not forget live with the hive. You got Jeeves and Stacy and George and cousin and yourself there, and others that pop in. So tell me about, you've been a member of the Army for a while, and tell me about connecting with the group here, popping in, starting to share your wisdom here and sticking to it.
Yeah, I mean, so wow. I guess right. I've been on X Twitter for a while, right? I think I hadn't started an account in like 2010. I've just been like sitting on it. And every now and then I'll just emerge from my sarcophagus and just spit out some ridiculous shit. You know what I mean? Like I've been through a lot of different eras in my life, a lot of different beliefs, and there's some things that are stuck to the core of me, no matter how hard I try to shake them. But yeah, I've been there for a while, and then so my journey kind of led me to Bitcoin, obviously, and then I ended up finding some people on Bitcoin Twitter, Bitcoin X, whatever, and we got along. We understood things. Like Stacy, as far as like the folks in the hive, like Stacy was one of the very early on friends that I made, and just right away, like I could tell like she was a person who cared about the well-being of others.
Yeah.
It was had a sense of something more than herself. Just in the way that if I had a question or didn't understand something, she was probably one of the first people to be like, "Oh no, I know that," or "I know how to do that," or I understand this, or "I totally get that." And so making friends with her, right, and it was kind of the inception, really, for me. And she was the one who actually said, "Hey, you should join. You should join this community. You should join this community. You should join a bunch of communities." And then eventually, I think she was the one who sent me the link to the Bitcoin Army, and that's when I joined. And this was very early on. I mean, it could be, anywhere from like a week to a couple of days since it started. But yeah, I hopped in and I was like, okay, cool. And little by little, just communicating with others because a lot of people, we're very like-minded in the sense of like, very simple things. And then as we got to know each other, it turned out there was a lot more substance to some of the things that we're aligned with. And, it's been like, that's been like a growth process that I've really enjoyed. And yeah, and so I guess through, Stacy obviously, became friends with her husband, George.
Mm-hmm.
Jeeves was one of the earliest people that I saw that I thought was just like great as a person. I was like, oh yeah, if Bitcoin Twitter has people like this, then I want to be around. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wise people, friendly
Right,
people.
right.
It's nice when you find your people. I
Yeah,
mean, a lot of us, you may relate, but people who are into Bitcoin, like there's a cerebral aspect to yourself that you can really churn and explore creatively in your mind, and or perhaps you're smart, but at the expense of social skills. I'm not saying
yeah.
categorically, but I will
No,
find
guilty as
myself,
charged over here. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, like you can be good academically or cerebrally,
Right.
intellectually,
Well, let me
techie.
let me let me put it this
Go
way, because
ahead.
like this was an actual like character flaw of mine, that I chose to work on back in like the like sort of end of my teenage years, going into my early 20s. I
Mm,
realized how socially like I wouldn't say like completely inept I was, but I noticed that if I didn't practice, like how in like my freshman to sophomore year, I was not very like I didn't interact much, but then my junior senior year, I was like, there was like nothing to it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But it was because of constant practice, interaction, butting heads with folks, just all the things that you do, right?
yeah.
So so after that, I kind of I went and did the college thing, and then after college, I kind of dipped down, and like I was not as sociable anymore. And then I had it in my head, like, all right, well, if I want to be sociable, I have to do sociable things. So I went out and I learned how to bartend, and I became a bartender. And then
Mm,
so now I'm working on my social skills because I have to, because it's like literally my income depends on this, um, and that
mm.
sort of thing. But over time, I got out of that profession, got into other professions, went into things where I had to talk to people less and deal with them less because it seemed more preferable, right? And then but then after a while it does get a little boring, so it's like, all right, you have to sort of you have to keep at it, right? If you want to have social
It
skills,
takes a
you have
push
to
in
socialize,
practice.
right?
Yeah,
And if it's not for you, then don't. Right? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, there are plenty of
yeah,
times where I don't socialize because it's like I need to step away, like I've had enough of other people. you know
yeah.
um,
Well, so it's the idea. I think Stacy's mentioned it before, where it's like that extroverted, capable introvert. I'm inherently easily introverted, but there's just simply a time and a place. Part of it through work or adulting or being a parent or um, uh, seizing opportunity, putting in proof of work that requires being quite sociable. So I'm like, would I naturally? Is that the easiest thing to do? Hell no. But you practice, and then after a while, you're like, oh, okay, I can do this.
you
Like I
know
always get a little nervous, or I always feel like an imposter. But
right.
then it's like, so does everybody.
and
So
that's
anyway,
and then here's the fun thing. So what makes it completely easy is just not giving a fuck. Just
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't care. And that's been my ethos for a very, very long time. Like, I don't care if you're a CEO. I don't care if you work sanitation. I don't care if you're the judge. I don't care if you're the criminal. Like, and well, I mean, I care if you're the criminal, but I you know I care if I don't care if you're the clerk. I don't, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter who you
yeah,
are. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you've done. It matters who you are right now. Um,
yeah.
and and that's what I look for in conversations. Like, there have been times where like I've had a crime watch, and it's been one of those times. It's not a common thing, right? But there are a lot of people in the space.
Hmm.
Um, and it's usually around the time, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it's usually around the time that something awful happened, or something really big kind of rocked the world, or something like that.
Mm.
um, and it's like, on one hand, I'm happy to sort of be facilitating something, but on the other hand, I kind of, you know I don't know, it kind of bothers me that a lot of folks kind of only show up when there's something bad going on. But then again,
Yeah,
at the same time, it's like
probably
I'm
the
not.
nature of it. Yeah.
Yeah, at the same time, I'm not really big on huge gatherings to begin with, so I don't really understand why it bothers me all that much. Um,
Well, and that community evolves into there's a gestalt of, conversations will meander wherever whoever's there and what they want to talk about. It's not always just about that either. It's a community unto its own.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, and I like being a part of the community um, because there's all different conversations to be had. Um,
Hmm.
and I think as a group we do a really good job of sort of inventing, something where there might be like a sort of a need for it. You know what I mean? Like folks want to talk about, certain things. So we say, hey, well, why don't we, why doesn't one of us, start doing that? And the great thing about the community is it doesn't have to be like somebody who's been there for a really long time. You know what I mean? It could be somebody who's been
Sure.
there for 3 days and like they have a
Yeah.
great idea and they want to do something. I mean, if they show up and they do all the positive things, you know what I mean, they work well with the group, they have, good conversation, then take the reins and just and go with
Yeah.
it, you know.
You're good at facilitating those. It can be herding cats sometimes, but you do good, and it's cool. Just doing it, just doing it is what's important about it.
Absolutely.
And the Bitcoin Army, I'll just throw it up here. If you're not a member, or if you hadn't heard of this, if you're a Bitcoiner, join the Bitcoin Army. Just a great community here. You've had your spaces, and let me search for crime watch because you've got uh, spaces on here. Maybe I can find one. Anyway, you've hosted spaces on here. You'll see them, and you'll see them go live Wednesday evenings.
Yeah.
Um, and
The
and
actual, if you want the
there we
actual
go.
links, if you just take away the space between crime and watch, because that's how I write it when I.
Yeah, there's Crime Watch with Killer B, 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Eastern. Let me put in Crime Watch. Bitcoin Army Wednesday Crime Watch. I love joining the spaces when I can. I can't always because if I'm not one working or two hobby working or three playing pretty princess with my 4 year old daughter. So, but I I tune in when I can, and then or just quality time with family and wife. Like how it it can be a thing where you just simply having an earbud in your ear, and my significant other can be like, "Are you here? Are you listening?" But anyway, balancing all the social things. But talking about Crime Watch, um, what do you see as what pops in as topics, ranging from what $5 wrench attacks all the way up to the crimin the very existence of our federal government, which is to say,
Yeah.
a living crime.
Yeah. I mean, we tend to kind of go, we dance around it all, right?
Yeah.
Like if there's something specific to what's going on, it usually ends up being the topic, whether whether you want it to or not, right? Like something that's really prevalent, something that's really weighing on people's minds, will typically be the thing that they want to discuss that evening, right?
Hmm.
And I try and be lenient with that because I don't want it to just be like about what I want it to be, right? I mean, I feel like that's a little much, right? It really should be more about like what the group wants to talk about. So, I mean, if folks are engaging in a conversation, even if it's not particularly something I'm super, in wavelength with, I'm gonna let it ride. I'm gonna listen, and I'm gonna see if there's something that connects with me, right? Um, because that's you know, I feel like, I don't want, like, I'm now, that's not to say I won't, gonna let it go, off the cuff or something. Like if people start insulting each other and doing things like that, that's typically when I'm gonna
You
shut.
reined it in.
Yeah, it's typically when I'm, like, because my whole thing is like if I'm gonna take my time and energy and I'm gonna put it into facilitating something, especially on behalf of the community, it's not going to be fucking romper room. It's not going to be a demolition derby. It's, you know what I mean? It's going to be civil discourse, or you're welcome to start your own space, and I'll shut mine down and whatever.
Yeah.
I can go catch up on some sleep. You know what I mean? Like I have, like you said, like, there's a lot of things that I have in what I call my analog world. Like, here I am in the digital space, but my analog space, the space where I have to physically do things, it's very demanding. So, when I take the time to come here, it's usually because I have off. Well, I mean, it's always because I have off time. I never put this before, something important in my analog world, right?
Yeah.
But it's it's technically, for me, it's a way to decompress and unwind, because I'm reaching out to folks who are like-minded. So it doesn't really zap me of any energy or anything like that, unless you run into boneheads, right? There's tons of those all over social media. There's tons of those everywhere. So, but if you're going to go and you're going to engage them, then either you take some kind of delight out of it, or you may feel very, very strongly about a particular thing, and somebody tweaked one of your nerves, and here we go for the next 45 minutes just railing at some fucking stranger pixel on a fucking screen. So I mean, you can do that. That's totally fine.
And one point of the conversation, or having the space, is generally educating people, and part of it's being aware. If nothing else, there's many layers to that. We talk about, okay, yeah, I mean, the $5 wrench attack, but scams generally. So it's pervasive. I get more and more of it, and I have a natural filter, and from my work and background, I can easily be hyper vigilant. Like I'll carry concealed all the time. I'll have a mindset about things. I feel well prepared and trained, and you can get hyper vigilant about it, but you gotta temper that with being a normal functional person and not a high alert stress case.
Yeah.
But it's just being properly aware and alert. And
it's the difference between concealing your weapon and walking around with your fucking hand on the fucking
right. Like it's a mindset, but you're not like, that said, I recognize too many people I can't go to the store and not have negative history with, 10% of the population in my town has been in jail, and they know me. So it's kind of like, okay. And it's not that it's bad. It's just awareness. Some of them are good people, and I interact with them. It's just that there's a managing associations with folks that we're not going to be friends, but it's respectful.
Yeah. You can, the town is big enough for the both of us. We can coexist, but you have to sort of remember there's a hierarchy to things. You have to, and it's not to say, again, because there's folks who break laws, and then there's folks who break laws, right?
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
So but as far as the societal structure of that, you're well to remember which side of things you're on. And there's P's and Q's. Yeah. Oh God.
It's just the scams are pervasive. Yeah, I started to mention that. I'll get Telegram seems bad lately to me, but just deciphering or filtering out just constant scams, and people fall for them. Like, so in the criminal justice world, I've seen it again and again, investigations. It's like, well, that money's gone. Like, okay, you went people that go to a Bitcoin ATM machine because they got a call that their kid's in jail, or that they missed jury duty and they're going to get a fine, and they deposit money and then they want it back. They're like, what was this? And it's like, oh my gosh, how does this happen? But people don't know. And it's like learning how to navigate tech world.
Well, it's a whole new, it's like a whole new era of public service announcements that need to go out. Right. I mean, rule number one, act as if like, oh, well, you want Bitcoin. Well, that sucks because I don't have any boating accident. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and you have to sort of approach things from that. Like, you can't go running to no ATMs. But again, this is all new territory for a lot of folks, and there's a lot of older folks that some of this shit's gonna roll real fast.
Uh-huh.
So what do you, how do you mitigate that, right? That's really
Yeah. I know boomers that cannot tell the difference in a spam email sometimes. And it's like, yeah, they're susceptible. And then people like, so being a Bitcoiner, well, you stay properly OPSEC pseudonymous, which is a healthy approach. I evaluated that approach for a while. And then after a while, it's like, people know my name, or am I going to, how long can I really hide my face? I'm at a conference, people start to know me, and it's like, well, I'm doxxed basically. So then I'll feel like, okay, yeah, I'm a Bitcoiner. I'll wear Bitcoin branded stuff. I'll talk about Bitcoin. I'm not like hiding from it. I'm publicly a Bitcoiner. So what does that mean down the road if it meant something to other people? Well, come and get it. This is my kind of joke. Like, this is, I'm being funny here, but it's like, okay, come and get it. I'm 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 properly secure in my life and lifestyle here. So
and, and see, like, this is the thing, like this, because it's all perspective. Like if I see something like that, I'm not intimidated by it. My first thought is, what are you playing?
yeah.
Because I'm a musician, so I like, what, oh, that's cool, what do you, what song is that? And I don't know, man, like I think like with it's a proper deterrent, right? You're doing it the right way. Like if you're going to reveal yourself, you reveal all of yourself, at least the parts where it's like, you let somebody know that a wrench attack is not going to be pleasant for all parties involved. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's and in your case, it probably means you're gonna have to fill out some paperwork and do some shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, do you really want to go through all of that? Like, I don't, and like for the most part, you're gonna see a lot of, the majority of humans out there aren't built for that, so they're not going to do that. They're going to send the emails and try and trick the old ladies, and you know what I'm saying. And it's like, and again, it's not to say that boomers don't know their way around the computer. Some of them do. I mean, there's plenty of folks.
Yeah.
I mean, there's boomers out there who wrote some of the fucking code that we're using today. So
Exactly.
it's just, but we're not talking about them. We're not talking about them. We're talking about the folks that do, that are in harm's way. What do we do, right? How do we? And that's assuming that you want to do something, right? Because not everybody has to. I mean, you can just stack your sats and go live on your, go sip your margaritas and chill. And more power to you, right? But there's folks out, I believe, right, who want something better, not just for themselves, but want something better for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that I try. This is the thing with me. I believe that altruism exists, right? But the caveat is, it's so, like, there has to be, so, like, the planets have to be in alignment, all the fucking, like, the stars have to be all the right way, and one person has to really fucking be about that shit. And most of the time when you see it, it's some dude trying to make, trying to get fucking digital likes, YouTube shit, whatever, right? Like Mr. Beast is probably my perfect example. This dude's like, I really do believe that dude's fucking evil incarnate. Like he's gonna be the next fucking guy to worry about.
Who is it again? I missed the name.
That Mr. Beast guy.
Oh yeah.
Like my kid's not allowed to watch. Like that's how deep it goes with me. Like I do not trust that human being. I don't think anybody who does is I don't think anybody who does is really thinking it through, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's real there. Is it all just a personality show, or who is that person? I don't know who he is.
Right. And and to a degree, like that's the whole thing with entertainment. You're not really supposed, like, that's like fucking Superman's not really Superman. He's some guy playing Superman, and like that's really it. You know what I mean? So, but that's the whole thing. Like now we're kind of we crossed over in the last few decades. We've crossed over into this reality binge watching kind of like this Truman Show shit, where we're spying on people, or they know we're spying. You know what I mean? And they put on this whole fucking show, and it's like, I don't know. To me, it's disgusting. Like I don't want that much of somebody's life in my face, and I don't understand why anyone else would.
Yeah, we enshrine personalities, and it's even belief systems, it's an easier path to have um, an influencer or that pariah person that just sort of like, oh, I believe in them, and you just hang your hat on that instead of sort of doing your own personal proof of work and then appreciating others that do stuff. But
Right.
sometimes people relinquish their own personal thought processes for the sake of being told or looking for it through someone else or an
Yeah.
established thing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes from exhaustion too. Like,
Yeah.
you're trapped in this wheel, right? This never-ending wheel of debt and working to recover from that debt or shave that debt away, and then more things happen and add on more debt. And this is basically your life until you expire. So there's not a whole lot of room for all that independent thought. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When you're at the end of the day, you just you want to fucking throw your work belt as far away from you as you can get it. You want your favorite drink. You want the show to make you laugh. You want the emotional show to make you cry. You want the action movie to make you feel vindicated. You want the news to either get that guy or not get that guy, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's these are you're reduced to these sort of impulse things. Like, you just want whatever takes the sting out of the day, right?
Right. Just
That sort of
unwind and
right.
tune out for a little while and just chill.
Where you can flip that entire process on its head and just do the work, get out of that and go do something for yourself, right? That's one of the big things with me with going to the gym is like for a good 10 and a half, 11 hours, whatever, I'm moving my body around for somebody else. Whatever. I'm making them money. I'm doing whatever. So when I get out of that, you would think, I'm exhausted. I want to go, whatever. Like, I need to go move for myself. I need to go and pick something up because I want to pick it up, because I want to put it down. Right. You know what I mean? Like, these are not because I have to, not because the house is going to fall apart if I don't go and fix this, not because, the dog's going to, for me. Right. And that's one way you can sort of break out of these constant sort of cage maze, whatever contraption they have set up for us, right? But it takes proof of work. It takes doing the things.
Making that time for yourself.
Right.
And yeah.
Right. Because then after that, you've got to go and fix the thing in the house. Otherwise, it's going to fall apart. Or you got to spend time with the family, or the family's going to fall apart. Or you know what I mean? You have to sort of create the room for everything. And we live in a sort of a society that doesn't want you doing that. So
Totally. And maybe it's conspiratorial, but like, it's beneficial to an existing power structure to have people distracted, divided, exhausted, and then you can.
Well, is
I
that
believe,
conspiratorial or is that logic? You know what I mean? And that's the thing.
It's what works, and you can leverage through emotional tactics. Not letting any good emergency go to waste, and people are just like, what, so when you have a strong, secure foundation, I think of your crime watch, where it's awareness and education and staying frosty, is like I like to say. There's kind of layers to that, and for me, and Jeeves might appreciate this, so at one level, there's like your physical base layer of shelter and family, community, food, and home, and it extends into the social stuff with your community, and you build up stability, security, and all that stuff. But when the shit hits the fan, I'll tell you. So when they talk about like the thin blue line, and a young optimistic kid wants to help society, he's like, I want to be a cop. And it's like, no, you don't, kid. But like, okay, give it a whirl. But when if shit really hit the fan, these are, and I'm lucky enough to live in fairly rural county with good based values, constitutional law, ethics about it all. And so, I mean, we as cops are quite cynical about higher level things that, oh, well, here, enter the FBI or whatever. Um, Not that they're not, helpful and partners on some level. And on the other hand, it's a multi-headed hydra tangle. But if shit hit the fan, these are individuals doing their best day by day to kind of just seal the cracks in a crumbling foundation. And they have families and lives and homes of their own. And, like when things go to hell, and like Fred Rogers said, look for the helpers. Been there, done that. And ultimately, there's only so many of those people that are paid to do that. And so some of these people, after they've kind of done their tour or term or 48 hours of it all, are going to retreat and kind of maybe reevaluate everything. It kind of boils down to taking care of you, your family, your community. And so then what is your personal agency and security there? And people that may have prepared very, very physically may freak out mental health wise or spiritually. If you imagine something happened and got wonky and bad for a prolonged period of time, there are going to be people that sort of thought they were prepared and just aren't ready emotionally. And I think that's a big component to it, is being grounded and centered, perhaps spiritually, or at least your mindset about managing problems. It's like an attitude, I guess I'd say. That's kind of part of this, you think?
Yeah. Well, all right. So what that kind of reminded me of, right? And I had a whole group of friends I talked about stuff like this with, which I miss those guys. But yeah, it's like I don't know if you remember like old westerns, right? Like old spaghetti westerns, like the Clint Eastwood specifically. But right, there is this theory that one of my friends had, right, that was that when Clint Eastwood did Unforgiven, he was sort of wrapping up the genre and sort of showing you the hell that the character was sort of going through. And how like you're talking about, this badass of the West, this rootin' tootin' shooting bro who just, he's just gung ho, right? And he's just doing his thing. And then, the later on years where he settles down, and he found a wife and mellowed him out and, stopped him from cussing, like he said, and all this stuff. And he's just some guy now, working the pigs on the farm and all this stuff. Well, anyway, how the whole story goes, he gets wrapped up in this whole thing. And so the kid, right, the kid who comes to him and propositions him for this whole thing, right, and he's, he's feeling his oats, right? He's like Mr. Badass. Oh, I can do this. And meanwhile, as the story, reveals, he can't see worth a damn. So he's got to be right up in front of the guy to pull the trigger. And, so they had to arrange that whole thing because he can't shoot worth shit. But then it gets to the end, right, where where it's time for him to take his target, and he's got him in the outhouse, right? And it's like point blank. All you got to do is just raise your hand, move your index, a little, squeeze it in a little, and you're done. You wrap it up and whatever. And he couldn't do it, right? And he did do it, and it freaked him out, right? He got his whatever, and there's that one scene where he's up against the tree, and you could tell he's shot, he's shook, right? You don't know his up from down. He's all whatever, but he's still trying to talk like, oh, I got that son, or whatever. And then he starts talking to Clint Eastwood's character, like a child, like trying to fucking make sense of it all. Like, oh, how do you do it, right? And and that line he delivered, right? It's a hell of a thing killing a man. You take away all he's got, all he's ever going to have. Some people are built for it. For some people, it's in them, right? And others, and I don't know if that's, again, I don't know if that's something we've done to ourselves, because we have a very docile, society, right? But then
Right.
philosophically, isn't that what you want? I mean, do you want constant war? Do you want shootouts all over the place and high noon and all this shit? Like, is that what we're supposed to be? Um, but then that begs the questions, like, if we don't have people who are able to handle that, then couldn't anybody just roll us over? So it's a weird
Right.
it's a weird there's a lot of philosophy. There's a lot to sort of suss out there, I think.
Yeah, we're feeling this kind of soft time, soft people thing. And even as kids are exposed online to a lot, it's all very not real or maybe just intellectual. But to face it face to face or to go through something that impacts you directly, you might have seen it or intellectualized things about it, but until you do it, I suppose it could really rock you, just like, or it's easy to talk big about things, but then it's another to something is going on, and are you going to be the one that goes in and intercepts that
Right.
or does something? Are you going to be a helper, or what do you do? Which way, Western man?
Right.
Um,
Right. And I feel like as time goes on, we're gonna be faced with a lot of that internally.
yeah.
There's gonna be a lot more, and it's not just gonna be, because I mean, we're faced with that now. I mean, what are
Mhm.
you gonna do? There's people out there just snatching kids and doing some of the most god awful fucking things in the world. Like, to
Yeah.
deny that now, or to say, oh, that doesn't happen, is beyond absurd at this point. So
Yeah.
now what, right? Like,
Just churning over like the Epstein files. What tip of the iceberg has been supplied to us, heavily redacted. It is planting that seed in some people. For me, it's kind of just validating what I kind of presumed was going on, but it can be a real shock of like, oh my gosh, how big and dark is all this? What do these code words mean? Um, and then how that's being handled at the DOJ. And then now we can get down some other rabbit holes, but
oh yeah,
now it's like, oh, wait. Well, aliens, Epstein who? Well, hey, we got aliens. We're going to,
yeah. Now
now
there's
it's the aliens.
sure, why not? Like,
I had not jokingly, but like slightly jokingly, months and months ago, it was kind of like, what's the next big calamity that needs to, uh, you know, pop this pressure to validate whatever war or money printing, or I mean, ultimately they got to print the money. The financial system's cornered, and um, yeah, what's the solution to all that? I mean, okay, we're looking at CBDCs, UBI, digital ID, all the things. Um, is where I feel like it's pushing. But we don't just fall for that without some emergent fear reaction reason to say, well, I guess that's the way what we got to do. Um, but yeah, now so I had joked like, what of all the plans on the shelf, they've kind of we've used COVID, we've used war, we've done this, that, and the other. What's how do you level up the next
yeah,
calamity? I was like,
what's the next litmus test going to be to
what's
see
the
how
big one?
everyone's going to react to this, that, or the third?
I was thinking like, oh, it'll be something like an alien invasion or
Yeah.
UFOs or something.
Does
Well,
anybody give a fuck about that? Really? I mean, and this is just. I mean, maybe it's just me, right? Like, is there, like, remember, what was it, that there was a bunch of fucking retards that were going to, like, storm Area 51, and they were going to
oh, right,
uncover
right,
all
right.
that shit, right? And I don't know, like, like, what's the next wave of retard shit that's going to happen in light of the alien invade, or the alien unearthing, or whatever? Like,
Yeah,
how long have we known about aliens? Like, do aliens, like, hang out? Do they walk among us? Do they just hang out overhead and just watch over us? Do they farm us? Are we alien food? What's going on, right? And
right.
honestly, like, again, this is just one of those, like, what do you do? Like,
So exactly. So with a constant sort of steady disclosure program, not only is the mythology surrounding that whole concept ridiculously multifaceted and crazy, whether it's in analog space or interdimensional space or everything from human tech to deep state tech to reverse engineered tech and all, and or things well outside of our control, and then things that are angelic or godlike. Basically, you could use this disclosure thing as a constant little, well, let's release the next little bit. Let's release the next little bit. Let's just ride this rabbit hole for as long as it takes. And with every little disclosure bit, I can see it just capturing the minds of people of like, oh my gosh, now it's this. Oh my gosh. It could be a total propaganda hook, even if it was all true. I'm not going to say it's fake. I'm just going to say they can ride that pony for as long as they need to.
Yeah.
And keep us just entranced by the
It's
insanity,
just a
I guess.
state of like, oh my God, did you hear that? You know,
aliens on ice.
It's sort of the ADHD version of like, did you see the game last night? Oh, bro, did you hear about the aliens? Like, yeah. I mean, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So that's the thing. When you recognize it as sort of that level of game, I guess you'd say, it's like practicing stepping back and saying, okay, what can I do? Instead of getting spread thin, worked out, worn out over the next drop, it's staying centered. And so then going back to Bitcoin, for me, Bitcoin is that one foot out the door, sovereign foundation of fuck all that. It's almost liberating to entertain. Like, so I have family. They're like, vote harder, vote harder. All the LARPing things, signs or protests or dumpster fires. I'm like, man, all that LARPing stuff. I can understand some of the emotion behind it. I can also see some of the contrived things about that. But to say, let's say, for example, like, this is not financial advice, political advice. Let's just say, like, you make that mind shift where it's like, you know what? I don't vote anymore. I don't vote. I just don't vote. And suddenly it's like, fuck them. Fuck it all.
There you go. Yeah.
And I'm free. I'm liberated. I'm not caught up in who might get elected. It's just like, right. It don't matter. You see a populist movement occur, and like you've described before on other, like I think it was on Vince's podcast, but like Trump represents things that were populist and we're going to drain the swamp. And then he gets in there and you kind of see more of the same, different, but it's like, I don't know. Do we still keep voting harder? I don't know.
Yeah, right. It's like, well, okay, and then opt out and do all this stuff. And it's like, I mean, again, this is people telling you what you ought to do. Like, oh, you ought to stop voting. You ought to stop it. I mean, is it a futile point to vote? I certainly think so. If somebody believes that voting is going to change things, I'm not going to fucking say, no, you're wrong. You're stupid. I don't need to fucking insult another fucking person. Like, what does that make me feel better? I don't really get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, just because I know that it's fucking malarkey, doesn't mean I'm gonna, because it might mean something to them, right? And
right.
It's fine. It's just fine. But what I'm not gonna do is I'm not gonna co-sign it. And I'm going to say, yeah, man, voting's the shit, man. Voting's going to, voting is how we fix this problem, because I don't believe that. And I'm never going to. I didn't believe it before all this crazy shit was hitting the fan. So, you know what I mean? I'm not going to just, all of that. The answer to me was never going to be vote harder, right? And now, if you had some kind of argument for voting smarter, such as in like a community level, such as, and I know I've heard this, and I try and credit these things because a lot of these thoughts are like thoughts I agree with, but they're not originally mine. But I remember somebody kind of going off on like knowing who your sheriff is and making sure that you know who's up for election when it's time for a new sheriff, that sort of thing.
Right.
Paying attention to things where you can actually make an impact, and knowing
right.
what those things are. I mean, that's your charge, right? It's for you to figure out, the individual. And again, do that or don't. It's not me saying you have to do, or you should, whatever. I say it often, like, we don't live in a world of shoulds. We live in a world of coulds. Like, we could make a change. We could do this. We could do something different. So, I mean, it's a nice thought, right? It's a nice starting point. But
Yeah.
should this, should that, should not, whatever. I don't really ascribe to that personally.
Yeah.
And that's just for me. Because, like, when I say, like, oh, somebody should do something about this, it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, I agree, but that's not going to get us to the space where somebody does something. So, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I think I grew up with a lot of should, and or this is how we think about things, and it was often political. And then as I grew up, I started. I mean, I feel like a late bloomer, but I started to look at that with a little distance and seeing how, like, left or right, it was just different colored boots of the same monster, and as it marched the same direction. And so I was like, oh, I feel done, like opting out. Bitcoin, I was kind of black pilled for a long time. And so then for a while, it was things like gold and personal security and things like that. But it still wasn't like a real solution. That's where when Bitcoin entered, it was like, oh, here's a tangible thing where I can vote with my money or vote with my plan B and personal agency, or my personal sovereignty, and become, say, where I want to be, private or sovereign, and not overt, here's my dumpster's fire type of resistance LARPing, but just personal sovereignty means a lot. And I think with Bitcoin, I think what I'm seeing, I don't know if you agree or what you see here, but what I see are kind of increasingly ridiculous flagellations by the state to maintain relevancy, and the media, relevancy, and maybe my control of the minds, and fiscal capability. They've got to print the money, but also with the narratives that come out, like I think of, like recently with the UFO stuff, it's there are, at a macro level, there's like a tournament of kings going on fighting over a competitive resource game. I get that. But as it trickles down into winning the hearts and minds of its peasants, I feel happier feeling like I can opt out. And so, like, opting out is a path. Do you see, like, kind of the state getting more and more irrelevant and ridiculous as it struggles with a failing fiat?
No, I totally agree. I mean, when you look at like, what was that one thing that, what did Pam Bondi say? Oh, the Dow is over 50K or something, like, so we
Oh
shouldn't
my
be
God, I
worried.
should play
We
that.
shouldn't be worried about all these child predators and, like, children getting abused is not the major concern. We should all be rejoicing that the Dow is, like, do you
The Dow.
like, that
The
somebody
Dow.
that a human being genuinely thought that those words were going to land anywhere beyond absurd. Like, you have to, like, that's an indicator to me, when you like when you see sort of these ridiculous things. It's almost like the entire genre lampooning itself in this sort of meta way or some shit. Like, that's essentially what's going on. Like, they know that the jig is up, so, like, you know why do anything different? Like, why not, or if anything, just continue to be as ridiculous as you've always been, if not more. I mean, look
Totally.
at the thing that Don Lemon guy did, right? Where he
Oh yeah.
like, you can't tell me you've worked in broadcasting for decades and you don't understand, and political, on a political spectrum, like, you can't tell me you don't understand that what you did was wrong. You did it anyway because you know that you can dance around legalities and shit like that, and, like, you may get off the hook. It may not even really matter because it may not be that important to the higher ups. Like these things that we consider rights and freedoms and things that are protected, they don't give a shit about. They don't fucking care well enough to really come down. Like if it's a political talking point and we're coming up on midterms, oh, we're gonna rail against that, and you can't do that shit, and we're gonna fucking prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law, or so to or so to say, right? But ultimately, nothing's gonna fucking get done.
Yeah, we can pinch the little guys,
but gonna walk in with those folks and do that shit, and that's gonna be the end of it. And it was a spectacle, and fucking the folks who should be in an uproar got in an uproar as planned, and the folks who don't care as planned, and there's more of those now. And that's a good little note to mark for later, that less people care about this, so we could probably get away with it more, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's like they're playing a whole different game. So
yeah,
either you start playing it at a level that that you can play it at, or I don't know, let's keep playing checkers and fucking
that was the game.
Yeah, keep getting mad at each other for shit that they're doing, I guess.
Yeah, Super Bowl controversies and stuff. If you'll indulge me, so here's this thing. This is where I was like, okay, it's like this was a jump the shark moment for me, but really it's more like a pool of sharks that are all jumping all the time. But this was one of them that stood out for me, where I was just like, oh, you got to be shitting me. Let me play this here.
Hack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. You know, all they want to do, all the American people need to know this. They are talking about Epstein today. This has been around since the Obama administration. This administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million. And Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history. And none of them asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein.
Which is true.
How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now.
Look at her.
S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming.
Anyway,
yeah, there you go. I for one feel better about.
Oh my gosh,
what's happened to children now.
Yeah. What about sort of a possible cabal of pedophiles and names and money and foreign governments and the intelligence apparatus? What about all that? But the Dow.
Wait,
it's sort of like
what is her department again? Is she in finance up there? Is that
right? Yeah.
Is that her? She's the Department of Finance.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like that's incorrect.
Yeah. It's sort of like just saying, yeah, we did all this stuff, but we're getting rich. Don't you see? We're getting rich. So stop with the rape stuff.
Right. We released all of these files with all of these names, redacted.
Well, they redacted perpetrators, and then they doxed victims. They did the opposite of everything.
and I can't help but feel like that's by design also. Like, yeah. We're gonna rip the Band-Aid off here. And all they really did was just re-traumatize people.
They had the victim standing right behind her, just like, hello.
You can't tell me that's not by design. And you could see and this might just be me, right? But like in her face when she's delivering all that just juicy information that we've all been waiting for about the Dow, fucking. Like she's having a hard time keeping it straight. Like she knows how absurd it is that these words are coming out of her mouth right now. I really do personally feel that.
She's an actor on stage.
Or she's not just dead inside, she's fucking stupid inside. There's no way. There's no way her brain is processing this and coming out like, yeah, man, I'm fucking totally convicted in this.
Yeah, it's like they know they're part of this game, and it's almost like, I mean, she was gonna stonewall, and with all the angst and fiery discussion, there's almost this crack of a smile of like, we're playing this game.
Yeah.
We all know we're playing this
Adam
game.
Neff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is, nobody knows what to do with this once I'm done saying these words. So mission accomplished.
Yeah. And being tax season, then I think about Bitcoin, I think about money, I think about owing taxes and then where that tax money goes. And I get kind of, that's where when I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Okay, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to not pay taxes? I want to stay out of trouble. So what can
you
we
should do? You should redact everything. That's what you should do.
File my taxes.
You're not doing that. If you're not doing that, you're just letting them attack the kids.
File redacted taxes.
Shame on you. Yeah, just put little bars where the
Oh man, yeah.
Fucking like it's all just
so
absurd.
Yeah, finding your peace, finding your center. Bitcoin has helped me a lot with that in terms of thinking long term and putting my time and energy into a hard, unstealable asset and property that down the road, regardless of any fiat price, people often look at the price and fiat and how hard it is. I get it because we all have our time horizon on lifestyle, I suppose. But what it means more deeply to me is, okay, well, I feel like the dollar is dirty criminal fiat, and Bitcoin follows different rules and is pure. So I'm just basically divesting myself of unethical criminal money and getting on to a new system that will play by rules.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's, to be clear, right? It's not to say that people aren't going to do nefarious shit with money. That's going to happen regardless, right?
Yeah.
But again, it's not going to be as easy, number one, to get away with that, right? There's the paper trail, so to speak, is a lot more finite, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot less you can manipulate.
Yeah. As fiat fades and they just can't afford the hijinks, then what are they going to do? They're going to have to go back to floating a bond and say, hey, buy war bonds. And people are like, no, thanks.
Right.
Oh, you mean we can't afford our war? No.
Yeah. I prefer if we didn't do that.
Yeah.
But, and again, it's not, you're never going to stop criminals from criminaling, right? You're never going to stop bad people from doing bad things, but you can de-incentivize. You can disincentivize some really awful shit, for one.
Mm-hmm.
You can make it easier to find the people who are still doing bad incentive shit, for two. And you're not, and those people, you're not beholden to them, seeing as they run the current fucking financial system that we're all fucking dependent on now. So,
yeah,
you know what I mean? If you don't have anybody in control of that system and we're all accountable and we're all accounting, then you're really just leaving the leeches fucking out to hang, right? They can't, you know what I mean? You can be you can be a dictator, but you're not going to be able to get away with as much dictator shit, right? You know what I mean? Like you're going to have to rely on force, and if you can't keep up with, with the surplus that it takes to fund that, that fucking tyranny, then you don't fucking get to benefit from it anymore. So I mean, it's little things, right? Because you don't. I don't think you win a spiritual war collectively. That's an internal job, right? So you're not going to win this whole war of the spirit of humanity, in a collective way, any other way than cleaning up your own house.
Right.
So, I mean, that's, because everything else is just like a distraction, just railing against the current thing and that sort of thing. Whereas the underlying actual shit that's been going on that we all should be, mad as hell about. I think a lot of people are, afraid, or I wouldn't even call it fear. I think maybe there's just an underlying understanding that it's just bigger than you. right?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't. You can't fight it alone, um, because you're not supposed to be fighting it in that way, right? You're what you're fighting is yourself. How what did Bruce Lee say? Like your power is how you react. Like that's where you know what I mean? And there's plenty of folks out there trying to take that power away from you or redirect it, or just in one way or another use it to their advantage, right? And the more you get in tune with yourself, the less likely that is to happen to you as an individual. um, if you starve a parasite, it will go look for a different host. So I mean, that's really I think your only course of action.
Yeah, what do you say? Water can flow and water can crash. Be water, my friend.
Yeah, dude. You can fucking cut a mountain in half with water.
Yeah, yeah. Water will grind down a stone, and not letting people distract you. Like don't let people ever let you feel like, oh well, my little bit or contribution or stack doesn't matter. My node doesn't matter. We are the cyber hornets and guardians of
Yeah,
Bitcoin. Every one of us.
That is something going around now that I absolutely cannot fucking stand. It is the dumbest fucking rhetoric that I think a human.
You don't have an economic node. It's like,
yeah, or whatever. It's
yeah.
you don't matter. So okay, well, I mean, I know I certainly don't matter to the person saying I don't matter, right? And I certainly don't matter to a whole bunch of other fucking people. But they also in turn don't really matter to me. Like the person saying that I don't matter is not an important human being in my life, so I don't really, you know what I mean. And it shouldn't be for anybody else either. I don't think so. Or or it could be, rather, because I don't like shoulds. It could be that person has no effect on anyone at all, and that's why they're sort of barking so loud and trying to convince everybody that that they don't matter when they actually do. So that's just my take on it.
Yeah, it can be a power exerting posture to take, to like feel like you're checking people or putting people down, and that's like a power play, maybe. I don't know, but I have a radar for it, and it tells me more about them than it does about me.
Absolutely. I always make the joke, like I got into Bitcoin yesterday. I got into it like day one. It doesn't matter. Like I don't care. I don't care when, if you got in early, that obviously that means good for you, right? But like it doesn't give anybody any agency over anybody else. And that's the thing that I think is great. Like we're so inclined to do that as a society, is like hold one person above it. Oh, this guy's been, doing this and he wrote this and he invented that, or he did whatever. And again, this is all like, okay, well, that's before. But if what you did before doesn't match up with how you're acting or what you're saying or what kind of philosophies you're sort of trying to get everybody else to ascribe to, like if those things don't match up, then you're full of shit. And that's that. I don't care what you did before. I don't care if you were the most prominent Bitcoiner in 2015 and I don't, you helped the fucking blind to see, like, congratulations, dude. But if you're talking some shitcoin bullshit right now, guess what you are? Like, that's it. That's how that works. It doesn't, you don't get to change the rules of reality just because you don't like them. Sorry. That's like you asking me to call you a her when you're a him.
Right.
Like, no. Sorry. That's not how it works.
Yeah. And some of the high profile OG Bitcoiners and stuff, I mean, they, like you could say, okay, slay the Buddha. It's sort of like if you have to be willing and ready to transcend or walk past your heroes when, as much as I might respect on many levels, guys like, Michael Saylor or Adam Back or some of these other OGs, some of the early ones of which meandered off into shitcoinery land, and then others just sort of have opinions that I've diverged from or aren't, not that I disagree, I'm not caught up in that. And so I kind of like, you know what? I I completely respect and love how they orange pilled me, or I totally respect them, and yet I'm not hung up on, well, what would Adam Beck say about it, or what's Saylor doing now? They're playing different levels of this game. I am a pleb, and I'm going to stick to my conviction about what Bitcoin is doing
There
for
you go.
me and for what I see coming in the world.
Yeah.
So, TikTok next block.
Yeah, you just stay the course and believe what you believe. And if you feel you need to say something about it, say something about it. And the minute somebody tells you, "Oh, you're just this," tell them to go fuck themselves. That's a fucking, it's a moron trying to get you to do what they want you to do, and they're an asshole, and that's the end of it. It doesn't need, you don't need to have a 3-hour conversation to know that somebody's a fucking chucklehead and isn't worth your fucking time.
Yeah.
You can figure that out in a good 12 goddamn seconds. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah. Whether I'm chewing gum or not, there's kind of in my head, it'll be like, fuck them. Shout out to Bitcoin cousin here. There's a bit of a mindset there.
Talk about
And
a
it
huge impact on my whole existence.
Totally.
Cousin is a major one. I mean, he's a very he's a guy I when we do get to converse, our frequencies are very, very in line. So like that, those are the kind of like, I'm not going to have that kind of I'm not going to have that kind of wavelength comparison with like the likes of Saylor or the likes of Elon Musk, and not because like they're better people than me, it's because they're different people. They're in different places. They're different. Like I don't have respect for Elon Musk, and I never will. It's just who I am, because he's just a guy. He's just some other guy. He's got the same fucking like organs swimming around in his fucking meat suit, just like me. It's nothing. Like, it doesn't. Okay, he's the head of this company. He does this. He does that. Cool. Okay. But how does how does he treat people? How does he act? You know what I mean? What is he really about?
Right.
Like those, that's who I'm in line with. I'm not in line with some guy who's who thinks something of me just because of where I work, or how much Bitcoin I have, or when I got into Bitcoin, or whether or not I can write 100 lines of code all perfect on the first fucking try. Like, I don't have anything in common with a person who those things are important to, or to say I probably have very little in common with that person. So I'm not going to waste time with that kind of person or that kind of conversation. It just doesn't, I mean, what am I going to do? Go back and forth, with your mother jokes and this and that. I mean, I'll do that. I have no problem with it, but it's not on my list of shit that I need to do today. So I'm probably not as inclined to get into it as I was maybe, when I was like in my early 20s and I didn't have that much shit to do, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And people can get into kind of like the how maxi are you, or, oh, but do you do this, or, oh, have you done this, or, but which node? And, I have my strong personal opinions, but I don't like to play the how maxi game. I had a dream a couple nights ago about a coming Bitcoin standard and how that occurred, which I'm still kind of sorting out. But what struck me was just sort of weirdly how remainingly early we are. As much as a Bitcoiner, you feel like, my God, this is a grind, or just sort of like I'm impatient about the state of the universe or the inevitability of it. It's just my time. I have to reconcile my time preference from time to time. But my God, we're early, and so I chew fugum when I'm at work or with family or other things, and they're focusing attention, and they put their time and energy in other things, and I'm just feeling a little detached from it all, and I'm just like, or if there's any resistance, like, but I don't understand Bitcoin, and I never can, I never will, or but what about, and I'm patient with it, orange pilling, but I hit a line where I'm kind of just like, if you don't get it, I mean, like, I'm not going to drain myself trying to convince you, like Satoshi got to at one point. There's just everyone has their own balance, and as much as I educate and work to orange pill, I draw my line with people where after a while, especially if it's FUD or toxicity, I'm like, fuck them. I'm just not going to exert my time and energy there.
Yeah, it's again, it's giving more of yourself It's sort of draining that, and there's so much of it, right? Back to what I was kind of mentioning before about how, like, this, you have a whole system designed to wear you out, so you're not going to even bother to fight back. You're just trying to get through a day, and then you got another day ahead of you tomorrow, so no sense in making plans for any revolutions anytime soon, right? It's how much energy, are you willing to give of yourself with nothing in return?
Right.
And that's really, that's kind of how I gauge just about everything in life. If I find, and it's not to say like something's a waste of time, like, not to put somebody else down or something like that, but
Sure.
It's just like, you know what, you're not receiving a message that can help you from me in a way, as much as I would like that to happen. You have to sometimes accept maybe you're not that person's particular life raft fucking helper or whatever you want, you know what I mean? And I don't think everybody is, I don't think we're all necessarily meant to do that. I mean, if we can over time, I think it's really more of a sort of happy accident kind of thing. I mean, if you're running out there trying to save lives, you're not, you find not a lot of people are, inclined to be saved. But if you're just kind of going through your life, taking care of yourself, keeping your side of the street clean, minding your own neck, you might be more inclined or, run into a situation where the person that you are carries in a way that somebody needs to see. And that is the catalyst that starts it. You know what I mean? If you try enforcing things, and that's usually when you get silly fucking results. You know what I'm saying? I have this old saying that, like, I have this sort of magic force field around me wherever I go, and every time I go and try and overreach past that force field to control something or make things go a certain way that I want them to, my hands disappear from the force field and magically end up wrapped around my own neck. Like within yourself, there are things you can control, right? Obviously, internally, and there's a little bit of space, I think, around you where you can control, like, the house you keep in order, your office, like, things that are more in tune with you and who you are. But you go out into the whole wide world talking about Bitcoin gonna save your life, bro. Everyone's gonna look at you like you're fucking retarded. So, you know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, obviously no one's taking that particular approach, right? But it can mimic that in the sense of, like, you're carrying around a message with a megaphone and motherfuckers have their headphones in and they're not, you know what I mean? They're not, they're not, they didn't sign up for someone to, come up to them in the middle of the day, set up a podium and start talking about, the Titanic and fucking, the creature and all, and the money's fucked up and all this shit. Like, they're not going to, they're looking at you sideways. So, you know what I mean? Like, now, there's, not to say that, there aren't ways to do it in different ways, right? Hold the conferences, have the meetups, do the thing, because other people are going to see that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's not the focus. The focus isn't to make a spectacle and get everybody to come and physically, grab your Bitcoin pamphlets and learn all the things that now, and you know what I'm saying? Like, because that's not your objective. Your objective is to go and meet with other people who already know all this shit and just kind of hang out and whatever. And then other people see you guys hanging out and they see how fucking joyous and whatever you are. And then they might have some questions. And they might not have questions right then and there, but they see you on the street. Oh, I saw you in that place the other day with those bros, and I saw that weird bee all over the place. And you were wearing that shirt. It had the lines and the bee. And what's all that about? And then now you got your, now you got your segue. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's, a particular scenario I'm just kind of painting on a canvas here. But I mean, but the other fucking scenario a lot of us have seen. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like maybe the approach is just exist and, you
Yeah.
know, do what you do and not worry so much about, you know, pulling everybody out of the, you know, the sinking ship or something. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be that way. I could be right. I could be full of shit. I don't know.
No, I agree. And everybody's got their different ability and energy to stretch where they want to, but more sustainably, it's like let your strong light and foundation just simply serve as a positive model for others. People can only change intrinsically themselves, and if you're trying to hammer it, they're almost going to turn it off or put a label on that and be like, okay, yeah, okay, whatever. And you almost might delay their stubbornness.
Yeah,
Whereas
the
if you're simply a
crazy Joe
model,
with the Chinese money again, talking all his
yeah.
all
Oh,
that.
he's still pushing on that. Like they might just categorize that superficially versus serving as a healthy model that's worked. And then, yes, their fiat monkey brain is going to start to pay attention, probably at another peak high, but they're going to come back if you just remain cool and steady and smart about it and just exist as a model. And then when the fiat number goes up and they're like, oh, I heard about that again. And then they check in and then maybe there's an opportunity there. So,
Yeah, I mean, and that's, you know, and then from there you have the chance of helping them out. And again, you know, you can lead a horse to water. And it's not to say that they're going to run off with this knowledge and then run off to the fucking shitcoin casino. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
the people are going to do what they're going to do, and you have to make your peace with that. I mean, or don't. And you know, good luck with all of that. You know, fucking
I had an experience,
anxiety and stress or whatever that comes with.
Yeah, I had an experience more recently, but a guy that I'd been orange pilling for a couple of years and was kind of like, I don't know, no. But the next step for him was to come back to me and say, hey, I heard about XRP, and part of me is like, oh, like after all this, and he's going, but he's thinking number go up, fiat, hey, I heard, and no, 1 million, and it's like, well, okay, for him, it was kind of that next step, but it was an opportunity to say, okay, he's at least checking in and asking about it. So that was my tactful opportunity to decipher Bitcoin from the great lands of the dark lands of shitcoinery and all crypto. So
my cousin has a great book on that.
Cousin wrote a book.
I'm in the middle of going through that right now, and you know, it's an amazing read. I might do that thing where like that particular copy that I have ends up in somebody else's hands, and then I'll go get another copy for myself. But again, like that's another thing with me. Like, am I just going to go and try and push that book into somebody else's hands, or am I just going to, you know, hopefully run into somebody who, you know, who that book can actually help? You know, I think that there's a healthy way to do it, and then there's an unhealthy way to do it, I guess.
Totally. Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. I want to be respectful of your time. So for people to contact you, you can be found on X at MF Killer B. You can search for Killer B. You'll find him on X, part of the Bitcoin Army.
You can also, thank you. I also have a YouTube page. I have some fun songs. You might recognize at least one of the. Yeah, you might. Yeah. So these songs. I'm just playing around, right?
Yeah, making music, videos.
Yeah, you can come check that out. Yeah, they're all pretty unique. I try and, you know, there's messages in there. You know what I mean? I'm not super heavy with the Bitcoin language. I do try and keep it kind of subtle. I don't know really if that's just a personal preference of not wanting to sort of overdo it. Just in case it happens to, you know, just in case folks like come across it who aren't like from our camp, you know, maybe a way of like easing them into understanding the nature of money versus sort of what they've been taught over the years, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
But yeah,
These,
sorry.
they're good and funny, and it's a fun creative expression where you go to YouTube, you can search for Killer Bee, same handle there at
Yeah.
MF Killer Bee. You get here, you see that little subscribe button. All you do is do that. So
There
check
you
it
go.
out there.
Yeah, click all the buttons, like all the things. You know,
Explore there, and on the Bitcoin Hive weekly. What days does the Hive play again?
it's not specifically weekly. It's kind of intermittently. We keep it to like Sunday night. I think we might actually be going tonight. I don't
Oh,
remember.
okay.
But we might be live tonight. I'm not sure. If we are, I'll be there. If not, I'm going to sleep. But yeah,
I
it's
enjoy the energy.
pretty much Sundays. Look for us randomly on Sundays. We Stacey's really good about announcing it. We're good about reposting when we're going live. And yeah, but that's probably the most fun I have that I can guarantee. You know, Crime Watch can be fun, but it's not always. But the live with the Hive, I always have a great time doing that. So
YouTube, you can find Live with the Hive, and you go to Live with the Hive, you click subscribe. It's as easy as that. So yeah, what I enjoy about the Hive is that it's casual, it's fun, meandering banter. It's a good mix of things, kind of what's been happening lately, news and entertainment, and your personalities, like you said, the individuals involved there, yourself and cousin Stacy, George, Jeeves. It's like you found the right people. And what I like about it is that you're all coming from a very similar vision and purpose, but you bring a very similar, different flavors of energy, but with a compatibly cohesive, good energy that basically I like the personalities. I like the positive vibes. I like the foundational ethics in a way, the Bitcoin ethos of it all. It's a really good group you have there. And I appreciate it for the folks you have involved. And that's, Stacy's great at having organized so much around these things, but yeah, it's been fun to listen to that. So
thanks, man. I definitely appreciate it. It's something it's something that comes very natural, you know what I mean? But just to see just to see it out there and see folks enjoying it, that means a lot. I can, I'll go out on a limb and say it means a lot to all of us.
Yeah, it's cool. And people can comment kind of like this, but people pop in and can banter and
yeah, except maybe Jeeves. I'm pretty sure Jeeves don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Bring Facts says that Back on That Island is his favorite.
I have to pat myself on the back because of how clever I felt creating that one, because of the whole Andy thing, and then like it's the lyrics are and he's back on that island, but the way that they say it, it sounds like Andy's back on that island, boy.
Let's see if this will.
These the actual the model for the character came from a bunch of jokes that I was putting out there around Halloween, because somebody was saying some ridiculous shit like, "Oh, it's not a bug," right? And yeah, so it was I had a lot of fun creating this because I was seeing the character come to life, and it's obviously doesn't look like the intended person, but it's close enough to smell. So yeah, and it is one of my favorites. I like the sound, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I need to move it into a different tab to play the audio, and then it may or may not work with my bandwidth that gets janky when I'm streaming here. But fun, creative explorations, utilizing AI, but ultimately it's the creative powers of your style and your music, and it's awesome because you got a background in that. I didn't really touch on that a lot, but film and music and your writing and
I try and so like when I do these things, I have this weird the biggest struggle is trying to make it look more perfect versus leaving it alone and letting it look as ridiculous as it does. You know, because I kind of, I don't want to detract from the sort of the silliness of AI. Like
Yeah.
there is a utility to it, right? And I'm trying to exploit the utility for what it is, as far as like how easy it is to kind of put a song together without having to, you know, get on a bunch of instruments and sort of do it myself. And also like, you know, taking a structure and, you know, having AI recognize it and work off of it and actually build something, you know what I mean, in that regard. And that's for the music part and for like the sort of illustration, like the video part, right? When it makes mistakes, I'll look at it and I'll see like, all right, is this mistake too ridiculous? Do I want to like redo this part and like make this look a little bit more, you know, cleaner? Or is the absurdity of it so perfect, not only for the source material, like the song, but also to convey how I really don't take any of this shit seriously, and I never will. Like, it's just like who people are, what technology, you know, what technology brings. Like, I try and have a laugh with all of it, like, ultimately. So it's, you know, it's my biggest coping mechanism.
That's awesome. Maybe I can actually play part of it here, not to hold you hostage here, but let me grab this, see if that'll, yep, here we go. Oops. Okay, to stage. Let's see if we can hear it.
Killer Bee was back on that island, boy.
Nice Rasta.
Are you hearing it? Because I'm not hearing anything.
Can you hear it?
I can't. I don't know if that's
Oh wait, hold on. Let me whoops, sorry. My technical failure. Let me do this.
I'm not hearing it.
Is that working?
Yeah.
Epstein Island.
Once again,
So
and he back something different, and he back not the same.
this is all about like this part is kind of joking about the whole phone thing. I don't know if you've heard like a lot of people sort of interacting with him on Twitter lately, and they're like, "Oh, this can't be him. This is an intern, or this is something." And my joke was like, "Oh, bro, it's like Body Snatchers. He's a pod person." So that's really where that little kind of last part comes in, is that, you know, he's some kind of doppelganger. They pulled him from another universe, or they pulled him out of a plant, or whatever. You know, we're getting all this nonsense on Twitter now.
Oh man, it's easy to fall into the rabbit hole and speculate.
Babylon in disguise.
Very symbolic here. Oh, anyway, yeah. So go.
It's a great spot to end on. The shadow of the devil.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, in the background there. Yeah, the multi faces of some of our heroes, and you know, I can only imagine what is it like to be someone like him. I mean, I don't know. We're ultimately we're human, and say you're early on something, working on tech, and then along comes who is this guy? Some financier. Hey, you need $100 million? Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, we're trying to build up, you know, we're trying to build mempool. You know, what strings might be attached? I don't know. Oh, free vacation. Anyway.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's you know, personal integrity, you know, it really, you don't you don't really know what it's worth until it's thrown into question. So,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things. I mean, there's the thing I always stand by is like, if there's still a fucking human soul inside you, then there's still time to do the right thing. So, maybe course correct, now as opposed to later, because at some point, there's, regardless of when you come around, the damage that you leave in the wake of that is going to be there, right? And it's other people's problem to deal with, if you choose not to clean it up. So
Yeah. I mean, handling that kind of thing, Elon had to navigate some of that doxed in the files thing. And, I kind of thought, well, Adam, what's the best thing you could really do under that situation is just basically be right out up front. Here's exactly what happened. I mistakenly did this, or we were here and then we didn't know who that was. And here's why we went, and just like put it all out there, just swallow that pill and be as honest as you can, instead of just kind of being like, I'm not Andy.
that's the whole thing. It's like, the transparency, and like, if you're not inclined to sort of come clean, then, you're kind of left with all that stigma. And if that stigma doesn't matter to you, then it doesn't matter to you, I guess. And that's sort of what, I think that's sort of what everyone is seeing. At least people who are, eyes open enough to see things for what they are. Something that serious is not something that you can just sort of dismiss, right? And especially in light of like the context of what a lot of people are sort of going head to head against, as far as like what ends up on the blockchain, Bitcoin and things like that. I mean, I hate to say it, right? I mean, just from coming from a perspective of someone who just, I'm removing myself from, like, I don't care about all of it. I'm just looking at it as like, it's not a good look. It just isn't. This is a problem, and then the problem escalates to something else, and you're reported as having some kind of connection to that problem, and that's also connected with this other thing, and it's almost like you're kind of doubling down on not being particularly fazed by it one way or the other, but you're more inclined to let people just kind of do whatever they want to do on the blockchain or whatever, not really speak out about trying to find some kind of solution or anything like that. I mean, that speaks volumes to what your interests are, or what you're hiding about interests, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that some of the energies and interests that have contributed to Bitcoin may have evolved towards shitcoinery at some levels. And I have my personal, very strong views on it. Ultimately, I think we all want Bitcoin to remain decentralized and secure and forever. I fall back on, like, fuck ordinals and all that bullshit. But I just look at it as shitcoinery on Bitcoinery. Go do that on another chain, or make your own layer, whatever. I do want Bitcoin to remain robust, and I guess you'd say as ossified as it can be without getting stagnant or buggy. But I go back to like my white paper on the wall here. I think of, what would Satoshi do? Much as I not worship but admire the divine immaculate Godhead of its occurrence and his disappearance, but it's like, what would Satoshi do? He was into peer-to-peer
if he didn't walk away from the whole thing, right? What would he? I mean, I have to think that he was expressively worried about about extra, about all the arbitrary data and things like that. I mean, he was explicit about it. So, I mean, I feel like it's not that much of a leap of logic to really suss out, what I think he would do. But again, he proved to be the smartest person in the whole program, because he He did what he did, and then he bounced.
Yeah.
As opposed to sticking around and getting involved in all this shit. I mean, that was honestly the smartest choice. So, you know, I would say if this, you know, it really just honestly what to do is, you know, research the things that are going on. You know, if there's a BIP, look at the BIP, right? See what it is and see if that's something that you're in line with. And if you are, then, and that's for you, then don't let somebody else tell you different. And now to the inverse of that, because I don't want to be, you know, one thing or the other, right? If you look at it and it's not in line with what you think, then you're under no obligation to do it just because somebody else tells you. But again, like, it's got to work both ways. You can't say that nobody can tell me what to do and then go and try and tell people what the fuck to do, right? But that's not the same thing as signaling something you believe in. So I think that that's the thing that gets conflated, is that people try and say, oh, you're trying to tell everybody what to do. No, I'm trying to talk about shit that matters to me. I'm trying to talk about the shit that I believe in. I'm trying to get to solutions to problems. And if people aren't in line with that, and they're talking about, well, first of all, if somebody's telling you there is no problem,
right?
You know, you're
fine.
Yeah. Next, please. Don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Go away. And if you get somebody who's trying to tell you that's not going to solve the problem, they might be correct. So maybe that's a person to talk to about what actually does solve the problem. But if if they start steering towards nothing can be done, everything is useless, you don't matter, da, 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 da. Well, guess what category he belongs in? He's in the fuck you, see you later category. There's no point in talking to that other human being. They have no value, not only in that particular conversation, but probably not in your life. Like, that person's probably just there to, you know, either they're miserable, they want you to be as miserable as them, or they want you to fucking not, you know, they don't want you to do this or that. Something there is not in your best interest. And that's really, you know, you don't have to sit here and dissect it. Just, you can feel it, move the fuck on. Right. Because you don't get to solutions by ignoring a problem. You don't get this, you know, I mean, we've got a whole fucking history of that. We've got this whole this whole 3 million fucking page file fucking thing coming down the fucking pike of motherfuckers that have been ignoring shit. Ignoring shit is how we fucking got here, is the fucking point. And it's like, if to not understand that is to continue to be asleep. So,
right. Yeah, it needs to be called out, hung out to dry. And I mean, I hate the players that are like trolling or playing games or saying like, what, you know, why'd you go and do that, Peter Todd? And he's like, because you can. It's like, okay, well, good job. If it makes Bitcoin stronger and we can say, oh, I see better how that's a problem, let's keep Bitcoin secure. Okay, maybe constructively calling things out like that is good, but to say, hey, look what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a mess just because, see, you can, and it's like, fuck you.
Yeah, that's how you know you're dealing with an infant. Like, that's not a fully developed adult fucking brain.
Yeah.
Because fully developed adult brains don't work that way. They don't work in, that's, you know, I'm taking my ball, I'm going home, or I'm going to ruin the game because I can. I'm going to step on the Monopoly board because there's no rule book saying there's nothing in the rules saying I can't do that.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I'm going to do it harder because you think I can.
Right.
It's like, okay, toddler, now can we, you know, eat a healthy meal now?
Yeah, I mean, it's all well and good if that person has nothing to do, but you know what I'm saying? But when that person has access to things that can fuck up the things, we maybe need some adults to maybe take away those keys or something. Like, something like that, you know what I mean? Like, somebody's got to be the fucking adult in the room. We got a bunch of little kids fucking calling each other's names and, you're a retard, you're that. Like, it's stupid.
Yeah,
like,
bottom line, we don't
time with that.
Yeah, we need more nodes, period. Just, I tell people, you know, okay, you've gotten off zero, good. Take self-custody, good. run a node, learn how to node. Hey, if you run a little miner, if you just dabble in mining, good, you're learning. But we need more nodes. But people are like, well, which node? Well, I mean, I have my opinions, but I don't want to be divisive about it, because you can fall into, well, are you a pedo, or are you gonna solve some sort of very esoteric technical mempool consistency problem?
Right.
I mean, I have my
You're
opinion,
well
but
within your rights at that point to say, do your own
yeah,
research. I
yeah.
helped you get here. The rest is going to be up to you. At some point in time, the little birdie's got to leave the nest and
Mhm.
go and read their own fucking research.
Yeah, the disagreement about it. I mean, I hate to see it toxic and divisive. And I mean, we'll see where BIP 110 maybe lands in September, or I mean, what that really means as a soft fork that could be have backwards downstream effects. But it's been a process for me to at least learn better a bit about that piece of the software and the protocol. Um, I do where I'm kind of I get hung up tech wise, and I have a background in computers and stuff, but I'll get hung up on trying to answer the question of, okay, what problem did blowing open op returns solve? Um, I can kind of see reasons about it for like network level mempool consistency, I guess, but I still get stuck over what problem did that really solve though? I don't know. I remain ignorant to some of the tech things, so I don't know.
Right, right. I mean,
Value will go where it goes. So I guess we'll find out, Jeeves.
that's ultimately, I think, what really is going to happen. And you always have to remember that no matter what market you're dealing with, the market is a fucking potato because it's full of humans, and humans are dummy fuck zoo animals. And that's, and they're gonna do dummy fuck zoo animal shit.
I know. We're gonna fling poo from time to time. It's just like, oh, the monkeys. We're in a zoo. But the open source code is the free speech. It is ultimate freedom of expression, and I think nodes are the one of the better votes you can have. I guess never put yourself down for having not run a node.
Yeah, I mean, look, folks say, oh, well, it's not really a vote. It's not. Well, what really is a vote? I mean, do we have a real system to compare it to? Like, do we have a democracy where voting really does something? Or
Right. Vote harder.
Yeah, vote harder. And like that's really what it is. So it's, is it a vote in a roundabout way? Yeah, it is, because you're showing, you're signaling, this is what I think is acceptable and this is what I think is not. And ultimately that's got to be everybody's individual choice. And if we just kind of get with that and maybe shut the fuck up about, you're supposed to do this and you're supposed to do that, and maybe turn it into, if you want to do it this way, let me help you do it this way. And if you don't want to do it this way, I won't force you or try and show you to do it this way or try and trick you into doing it or whatever. Like, if we can get there somewhere, we might be able to maybe drop some of the stupid fucking noise that goes on. But as long as, again, like, value, will go where it goes, right? And apparently there's still value in getting all of these likes and doing all of the engagement farming. So until we find a way to correct the incentivized sort of system there, we're going to keep having to deal with the dummy fuck zoo show.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like we've invented fire, and it's just like fire. And now we start playing with fire. We make other fires, and then, people get burned. It's like we're learning how to manage the invention of fire. And for the first time ever, we've invented
if you throw too much shit onto the fire goes out, and then you don't have fire anymore. That's something to think about.
That's an analogy I thought of literally yesterday. Was like, we invented fire, and it's like, oh, we want to take care of this fire. We don't want the fire to go out. Ooh, we can make another big one over there. Oh, it's burning stuff up. Oh, people got burned. Or there's people at the main fire, the communal bonfire. We're all tending to it and caring for it. This is important. Don't let the fire go out. And then you get some toddlers coming in. Hey, look, you've experienced this with kids at camping. hey, if we throw leaves on the fire, it makes smoke. Hey, the smoke is cool. And it's like, okay, not too many leaves. No, but this is fun. Look, hey, don't do too many leaves. Oh, well, really? Well, I'm going to do more leaves then. And then there's all this smoke and ordinal noise. And it's like, stop with the leaves. I know you can put leaves on it. Yeah, you can put leaves on this fire. Maybe a little bit, whatever. Play in the
Maybe
corner.
it's not something you should do.
Yeah.
Just say
Enough with the leaves, okay? The fire is about fire. It's about cooking. It's about heat. It's about human progress and changing the world. It's not about, hey, you know what? If you throw leaves on the fire, they make smoke. If I breathe that smoke, I can get high. It's like, okay, toddler, now are you done?
We're entering the dangerous world of arson at that point.
Yeah.
Where we're taking fire and doing things we're not supposed to do with it, and that's how we set the forest on fire. That's how little Jimmy burns half of his fucking flesh. That's how accidents happen. That's how stupid shit happens. Don't be stupid with the fire. You have something good. Do good things with it.
We've invented something important here. We got to be responsible and keep it alive. It's forever. It's forever. So, well, this has been an amazing conversation. I've held you hostage for a long time. I really appreciate your entertaining conversation.
You've been a fantastic terrorist, and I definitely have what is it, Baron Munchausen syndrome by proxy. So
awesome.
Is that
thank you?
I don't remember. It's that thing that whatever it is, where the hostage is thankful for the captive.
Yeah, Stockholm syndrome.
There it is.
Thank you for
what I'm not. I gotta go take some medicine. Jesus Christ.
Well, we got our fans. We got the Bitcoin Army in here listening. People from the Hive Mind. Perhaps this evening, afternoon, you'll be on the Hive Mind again. Putting in your time today. I've really enjoyed it. I love your aligned thoughts and conversation. I love what you do. Look forward to seeing you downstream and online everywhere else. And heck, I mean, if you end up somewhere and I see you in person someday at a conference or maybe Vegas or wherever,
that would be fantastic. I would definitely. You're definitely a person I would be looking out for in real life to hang out with if I ever do find my way in one of those situations.
Won't help you.
If they're not all fucking shitcoin conferences by the time I get to them.
The suits have entered Vegas, that's for sure. So it's where so many people go. It's good for business. And at the same time, it's like, BitBlock Boom is probably more based. Prague is more based. There's other local ones. Oh, yeah, the Midwest one. There's, where is that? Cleveland? I'm trying to remember now.
It's my neck of the woods. So I might.
Stacy's going to be there. I think she's presenting. Yes, Bitcoin conference. It's like the Midwest Bitcoin conference. I think it was. Trying to find it. Not to hold you hostage again. Midwest Bitcoin Summit. Yes, this is it. Here we go. Oh, sorry. Bear with me. I got to share a different screen now. There is this Midwest Bitcoin conference. Oh shoot, sorry. I gotta copy and paste something. Okay. Midwest Bitcoin Summit. Hello.
There we go.
Columbus, not Cleveland.
Okay.
Columbus, Ohio, September 23rd, 24th. I believe we might scroll down and see speakers, and I think Stacy and others are going to be there if this would load. Anyway, so that's possibly in your neck of the woods. So that's one coming up. That's this fall.
Who's to say? I mean, September's not that far away. But we'll see.
Michael Jordan. Oh, Bo Turner. He's just down the river from me.
Oh, that's cool.
Is Stacy here? There's Stacy,
Yay!
podcaster, founder, Bitcoin Nova podcast. So yeah,
Fantastic.
it might be a panel. I can't remember, but it's and I believe she'll be in Vegas.
Yeah, yeah, she will.
Yeah. So anyway,
She's got a full plate herself.
oh man, busy now, getting known.
That's
So
awesome stuff.
cool. With that, yeah. Point being, perhaps I will see you somewhere, one way or another.
Absolutely.
Yep. There's Stacy saying, "Yep, she'll
Yep.
be there." Bring Facts will be there.
Hell yeah.
Jeeves will be there in Vegas. So at
Awesome.
some point, we will see you in analog space because we get to know each other online.
It's an inevitable thing. It's happening at some point. There's just, as far as me being ready for the world, I guess, I don't know.
You can do what like Uncle Rockstar, Asanoa, many others I've had on the pod, but you could be one of those masked guys.
I've been working on the Killer Bee biosuit prototype for a long time, and like my biggest hope is that Bitcoin will put me in a position where I can hover in to an event on my crazy robot wings, and
Oh, dude! If you had a white hoodie and a stick on your back and a cap and that face, it'd be like Bitcoin Comic-Con, but it'd be like, there's Killer Bee.
Let's put it this way: when I do finally arrive, you'll know. It'll
Can't miss Killer Bee.
Yeah, you won't be able to mistake that Killer Bee is up in.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I look forward to it. So yes.
Yeah. And in the meantime, you can catch me Wednesdays at 9.
Yeah. Crime Watch Wednesdays, and I tune in when I can. I tell you, some of my evenings are, the love of my life 4-year-old hanging off my leg, or like, Daddy, put this on. And so there I am wearing a tiara and playing with dolls, and we're playing hide and seek with Kitty and Doggy. And that becomes my evening until it's bedtime. And then it's like 9 or 10 o'clock. And it's like, okay, how late do I want to stay up working on prep for Killer Bee's podcast? That was last night. So hence the meandering nature of my conversations here. But it's been great.
Absolutely. I'm very, 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 very happy to be here. Thank you so much for spending time with me, for allowing me to spend time with you. And I hope to anytime you want to do this again, I'm more than happy to.
Oh, totally.
All right,
a number of y'all I've had, the folks commenting here have been on. I've been working my way through the entire army. I just got to get Jordan here, right, Stacy?
Yep, George's next.
And I've had cousin Jeeves, Stacy, you. So George, you're the hanging thumb. But anyway, yeah, I tune in when I can. I love it. Hive Mind, Crime Watch, weekly, the Bitcoin Army little random spaces, vibe sessions, Friday night music sessions, whatever. I always enjoy it. I can't always chat. Sometimes I got an earbud while I'm making dinner. But y'all are doing great work. What's important about it is not what exactly it is. It's the fact that you're doing it. And that's what's good. So
you just keep showing up.
You're doing it. You're showing up and you're preaching, buddy. So I love it.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Stay mad.
Always.
Take care. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. And we'll catch you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.